WWE Raw in Philadelphia tonight. It's going to be a huge show. So excited about it. Less than 2 weeks before WrestleMania. And, well, I'm Brian Soscia and Kofi Kingston in the studio today. We appreciate that. Kofi, how you feeling today?
Bam!
Whoa.
Excellent, man. I'm good, man. I'm fired up. I'm excited. You know, we're here in Philly. I mean, I know the crowd here is always fired up. You know what I'm saying? So I'm excited to be here and talk a little bit of wrestling.
Yes,
you know?
Philly is a razzling town, and it has been, I mean, forever, dating back to Bruno Sammartino, who's going to the Hall of Fame.
This year, yeah.
Gonna be
which
awesome.
is huge, man. Huge, huge.
But you know it's huge because you've been a fan your entire life.
Yes.
And as a fan your whole life, growing up watching all your favorite superstars, I always wonder, like, what did you envision yourself as? Like, did you want to be a wrestler when you were a kid, and did you think this is the kind of like character I want to be?
I had no idea what character I wanted to play. I remember I cut a video for Tough Enough,
yeah, and
I called myself JT Fury. I don't know what that means. I don't know what JT stands for, and I don't know what I was furious about. But that was something that I really had no idea what was going. I just knew I was going to be here. I didn't know in what. What capacity or anything like that, but I just knew I could do some pretty spectacular things here. So
JT, you don't know what it stood for. I'm going to say that's just tremendous because it is. That's phenomenal that you would even pick such a great name like that. Did you come up with that name, by the way?
JT Fury?
I'm be JT Fury.
Yeah, it was really like off the cuff too, and I don't know what I was talking about. It's actually I have there's this like DVD that went out with some European magazines. So it's basically, you know, like they came to my house and filmed a bunch of things, you know. So it's a very like rare DVD, but it's out there and it's probably on YouTube too. And they showed like clips of just me like coming up and whatnot, and my Tough Enough tape and all that stuff. And as soon as I gave him the tape, I was like, man, why did I like get? I had the ability to like keep that under wraps for my entire life, but it's out there somewhere if you're willing to look for it. So
well, now there'll be JT Fury signs tonight.
Yeah, I know.
There'll be WrestleMania JT Fury 316,
yeah.
Fury 316.
Yeah.
All right, so. You obviously were a fan growing up. You weren't sure what you wanted to do. You might have been JT Fury. You don't know what's going on at this point. But when you had said earlier when we spoke that you were working in a cubicle and you decided, you know, I need to make my dreams come true.
Mm-hmm.
What was your first experience like when you decided to do it? Like, did you walk into a school? Was there anything weird about it? Were you freaked out? Like it was not what you thought?
No, it was amazing. When I first walked into the school, so the way that the school is set up, you walk in and there was like a lounge area, and then you walk into the actual training center, and there's like 2 rings, and I remember just being like, it was almost like waiting to exhale.
Yeah.
You know, that's exactly what it was, because I knew like this was where I was supposed to be, you know, and I knew that this was going to be, the platform in which I was gonna kind of, live the rest of my life and live the way I wanted to, doing what I love to do. I just knew. And the difference between walking into the school versus like walking into that corporate setting and walking into my cubicle was just like night and day. In the cubicle, I knew I was about to be miserable for the rest of my life if I didn't get out, versus walking into the studio, which is, like I said, it was
it just felt right. The school
awesome.
Just felt right, you're saying, basically. And a lot of people don't do that.
Yeah. A lot of people don't follow their dreams for whatever reason, and then you look back when you're like 70 years old and you always wonder what if. And I definitely did not want to be in that situation. So worst thing you can do out there, anybody out there with a dream, is to give it a shot. If it doesn't work, you'll be right back where you were, no better off than you were.
100%.
No worse off.
I mean, you give it 100%, it may work. Exactly. That's how you should be looking at things. And I mean, you looked at it that way. And then after your time at that school, I don't know how much time you were there, you got signed by WWE pretty much. I mean, that had to be incredible. Can you take me through the day when you got that call and found out what you were doing?
I was actually working. I was on a lunch break. We had just had a tryout a couple days before. It was actually before SummerSlam when it was in Boston, and then that Monday or Tuesday afterwards, I'm like, going through my daily grind at work or whatever, going to lunch, eating the same food, and I'm literally in line waiting to pay. I have my tray like on the table, a couple of guys ahead of me, and I see my phone ring and it says like 203. So every time you see a 203 number, that's Connecticut. So it's like, oh my gosh, what is this? I left my food right there, and I go and sit down in the middle of the cafeteria. Everybody in the middle of their hustle and bustle, and Mike Bucci, who's the head of talent relations at the time, he's like, hey, I got some news for you, man. Well, we're going to sign you. I'm like, what? You know, and I couldn't like flip out because I'm sitting there in the middle of the cafeteria in a suit and tie, you know, but inside I was just like, it was fireworks going off. It was, again, just like another step on that path to the rest of my life, you know, living my dreams. So it was just amazing. It was amazing.
Did you just walk in and quit your job that day? Or you were unsure? You kind of waited a minute.
That same day, I gave him I talked to my boss. So Nova was really like, I guess the internet was like really starting to come out with like all these rumors and everything. So he's like, all right, well, we got to keep it quiet. We don't want anything on the internet. So I was like, man, I can't tell anybody. Of course, like the people at work had nothing to do with like they weren't going on like dirt sheets or anything like that. But I was like tight-lipped for that whole day. And then eventually, I finally told my boss, you know, I'm like, hey, you know. I got signed to WWE. I can't like tell anybody, you know, but in 2 weeks, you know, I'm gonna be going. Like, please don't tell anybody. But eventually, like, it ended up getting out, you know. But
what was the boss's reaction?
Well, she was cool with it. You know, it was really funny because a lot of people who were there were like, oh, you know, yeah, they knew that I wasn't supposed to be there. I guess my personality was just such that, you know, I didn't really belong in the corporate setting. I remember one guy was like, oh, you know, you've kept the world waiting long enough. I was like, oh, okay.
That's a great way to look at it.
How come you didn't like tell me that 2 years ago? Why'd you let me work here for like 3 years?
Because he wants free tickets now. That's why he knows where you're headed.
But you know, everyone was really supportive of that. Just because you don't really get to see a lot of people, you know, go towards a television career or whatever. It's such a once in a lifetime opportunity. So they were really supportive.
No, it is once in a lifetime. You've made the most of it so far. And I remember when you first came in, they had those little inserts, vignettes, promo videos where you're in Jamaica and the guy's getting sand kicked in his face and stuff.
That's right. Yeah.
I need to know, and I want you to be completely honest with me. Were they really filmed in Jamaica, or was that just somewhere like?
I've never been to Jamaica. I've never been to Jamaica.
You talked like it,
but I have listened to a lot of reggae music, you know, and I felt like that was a good enough, you know, reason for me to impersonate an entire culture. Not really, but you know, yeah, those were actually taped in Key Biscayne, Florida.
Okay,
and we taped them all on the same day. And yeah, it's a miracle that I'm still here based on those vignettes because it makes me cringe every time I go back.
I really enjoy them. I do. The guy, I mean, didn't you feel a little bit? I know you're probably not even thinking you're going to WWE. You're going to be this big star in your mind. You're creating all these scenarios and you're excited. But the poor guy's getting sand kicked in his face.
Oh,
how many times did you shoot that?
It was a few times. But you know, they loved it. He got buried in the sand. You know, everybody was really having a good time that day. You know, so what was really cool was that like I was still so fresh and green in the business that like we had a whole bunch of extras and you know film crews and you know the director and producer and they were all there for me. You know, so that we could shoot these vignettes that were going to air and be like 30 seconds on TV. So it was like my first taste of, I guess, stardom, you know, and it was just really, really cool to watch that all happen, just chilling out on the beach all day and getting paid for it.
What on the beach, you want to be relaxed, but I mean, you know this is a shot for you, and it's all new to you, like you just said. In your mind at the time, are you nervous? Was there people there making you nervous? Were they saying, no, don't do it like this. You need to sound more Jamaican. Like what was the?
Yeah, no.
Were the
really,
nerves?
I mean, I definitely was a little bit nervous, especially at first because, like I said, like all these people were here for me, and that was like really weird. But you know, it was okay. I think as WWE superstars, you have to be. I've always been a performer. You know, like in college, I used to be on a step team. Sexual chocolate was what we were called. We all had different chocolate names. I was chocolate ecstasy, which you probably guessed by looking at me here in my corduroy suit.
More signs,
you know. But you know, I've always been like a performer. Even in middle school, I was in a couple plays, and I was in the jazz band. So you know,
second nature.
It was second nature. You know, you after the initial nerves get out, you kind of get used to just being on that center stage and performing. It's kind of what you have to do as a WWE superstar to be successful, anyway.
You talk nerves. Mm-hmm. And Money in the Bank, you're like one of the kings of that match. That, and I'm not going to believe if you tell me otherwise that you're cool, calm, and collected. That's got to be nerve-wracking. And, you know, when you're up there about to do some big move or somebody starts tipping the ladder, what's going through your mind? I mean, let the fans know. Let them in. Like, what's how do you feel going out there? I mean, there's potential for injury more than normal in that kind of match.
Yeah. The Money in the Bank match is probably one of the more dangerous matches, and to the point where, you know, you see a lot of people crash and burn so much that you almost forget how dangerous it is just to, like, get slammed on a ladder because it's not all big and impressive, you know, like that stuff still hurts. But the thing about it is that you have like just adrenaline flowing through your body. You know, when Money in the Bank, especially when it was at WrestleMania, it's like, man, this is it. You know, we've been working the whole year to get to this point. You know, and I know for me, my first time, I really wanted to make an impression. Obviously, I wasn't winning, but I wanted people to leave and be talking about me. So I wanted to do some things that were never before seen, which you know, guys like Edge and Christian and the Dudleys and the Hardys really made that hard to do because they were so good at these ladder matches. But you know, to be able to come out with something that people hadn't seen before was it's always a challenge, you know. And I'm pretty confident as a performer, you know, that I don't really worry about, you know, I've never like gotten really ridiculously hurt or anything like that, so I don't worry about like, oh my God, I'm gonna fall off this ladder and get hurt, because if you start thinking about that, then you will, you know. And then as far as like you know, I like Hornswoggle is usually like the guy who like I run a lot of things by, you know, and he usually never thinks that I can do certain things, like at the Rumble with the handstand, and even like on the chair, he's like, oh, there's no way you're gonna be able to do it, and sure enough, like I go and do it, you know. So it's really kind of a thing. Not just to prove him wrong or anything like that, but it's like, you know, man, there's a lot of people who think I can't do this. It's like, man, do you know who I am? This is what I do, you know? So I don't know. I don't think it's really nerves. I just go out with a lot of confidence, and, you know, if I fall, then I fall. You know, it's not the end of the world.
Up,
so what?
Yeah. Every time I see you do a big move now, I'm going to think it's to please Hornswoggle. Yeah. Even though you said it's not, that's going to be in my mind now. Thank you for that. So we talked about this earlier too, but WrestleMania is going to be outside this year. We are days away, not too far away from it at all. How is the roster going to handle that if it's cold? I mean, it's snowing out today. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm not. Well, it's going to be interesting to say the least. I don't think anybody's going to be worried about the cold. It's kind of like the you know, football games when you see two teams out there like in Green Bay completely freezing, but they're still, you know, playing their tails off. It's the adrenaline takes over. I'm not worried about the cold. Now the snow, on the other hand, if it's snowing in the ring, I know a guy like me will have to slow down a little bit and kind of watch your step. But I think we'll be fine. I think even if it does snow, it'll be such an amazing visual. You know, like, can you imagine just like the wide shot of the crowd and the ring, you know, covered in snow on the outside of the ring and just snow coming down, you know, John Cena and The Rock in the middle of the ring going toe-to-toe, you know, Triple H and Brock Lesnar, CM Punk and The Undertaker with the snow coming down. I mean, come on, like the visual would be amazing. So if that does, I'm actually kind of hoping that does happen, because this is kind of like the only chance that it might happen. Yeah. So if it does, I think we'll be fine. We're, as WWE superstars, we are the best at adapting. So it's going to be awesome. I mean, we know it's going to be an awesome show regardless.
That's just going to add to the spectacle of it. If something like that does happen, you guys will make it work as always. Inspiration for what you do in the ring. I don't know if we call it a move set. Inspiration for that. I feel like it might come from maybe some other performers that you grew up watching, maybe some. I feel like you're very Jackie Chan-like sometimes.
It's funny that you said Jackie Chan, because I actually I pull from a lot of different things. Like, what's cool to me, kung fu movies, Japanimation, going back to Money in the Bank. When the first year I jumped through a ladder and like drop kicked somebody, that is a direct ripoff from a Jackie Chan movie. I think it was like First Strike, where he's like running around and he's like fighting literally the entire city, and he fights like 50 guys, you know, and then he like has a scene where he has like this ladder and he's rolling it down and rolling it back up and hitting people, and he like plants it down and hits a drop kick like through the ladder, and I saw that and I was like, oh, I think I can do that. You know, so
Hornswoggle, can I do it?
Yeah.
No, you can't do it. No, there's no way you can't do that. No.
Shut up, Swoggle. But yeah, I mean, I pull from all different types of things. I'm a big student of the game, so you know, if I see something like even like Japan, I do a move I call the S.O.S. And I call it that because it's simply "Oh Snapalicious." The first time I saw it, a guy named Madoka, he calls it the Ranhai, and he does it, you know. And I saw it, and I was like, man, that is an incredible move, you know. And I said, "Oh snap!" Like as soon as I saw it. So it's kind of a tribute to him and what he does. But I pull from all different types of things that I see, and whatever looks cool to me, I try to incorporate it into what I do.
Well, you said too a little earlier that some of your favorite guys growing up, Shawn Michaels was one, I believe you said. You said Ricky Steamboat. And I think it's interesting you said Ricky Steamboat, and I didn't tell you this earlier when we were talking, but I think it's interesting because your whole career, same with Steamboat. I mean, how long have you been doing WWE? 5 years now?
5 years and in a few months, almost 5.5 years. Yeah.
It's been 5.5 years.
Yeah.
You have been beloved by the fans, just like Steamboat was the whole time.
Sure.
So could you ever see yourself breaking a rule?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I mean, like, I get asked that question all the time. It's really funny because there's like, I guess, a rumor on the internet right now.
I didn't even know that.
That, yeah, like, oh, Kofi's turning heel. I'm like, oh, I am? Which is, I mean, I don't know, because I'm always like the last one to find these things out. But, you know, like I said, I'm very confident as a performer, and if that's the case, I'm sure I'll knock it out of the park. You know, I'm fine with that. You know what I mean? Like,
sometimes the nice guys are the best bad guys. You know?
Yeah. But who knows? I wouldn't even. I don't even speculate. I don't even know what's gonna happen tonight. So for me to think ahead about like what's gonna happen way down the line, I mean, who knows? It's really up to the fans, to be honest. You know what I mean? Like if I come out and I mean the WWE universe. Did I say fans? Am I gonna get fined for that?
No.
But you know we have the best fan base in the world, and if I go out there one day and all of a sudden these guys start booing me, you know, then all of a sudden, you know, they don't like me, therefore I'm a bad guy, you know. So I'd have to reciprocate off of that, and I don't know. I guess we'll see. We'll wait and see what happens. You know, I have no idea.
It's going to be awesome. Last one, video game guy. I wanted to ask you. This is a
video
quiz.
game champion.
Oh,
yes.
so
yes.
Two-time
yes.
WrestleMania video game champion, defending
yes.
this year. You're going to take AJ, knock her off, or is it
I
Uso?
hope
Who
that's
was
the
it?
plan. That's the plan. AJ, Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso.
Somebody's going to fall.
Somebody's going to fall.
He's serious. Look how serious he got.
Fall.
He'll break rules in the video games probably. So I want to ask you a quick quiz now. You've been in video games your whole life, correct?
Indeed, yes.
Nintendo and all?
Everything.
Give me the code to Contra for Unlimited Lives.
Up, down, left, right, BA, start. If two players select start. Come on. Blood code, Mortal Kombat, ABAC, Come on, man. Give me some hard questions.
I love it.
Come on.
I love it. All right. Well, Kofi Kingston in the house. Thank you for coming in today, Kofi.
Thanks for having me.
It was such a good
Thanks
time.
for having me,
really. But tonight, Raw. Gonna be awesome. How are you feeling? You ready to tackle it and take it on and just show the fans what you can do 2 weeks before WrestleMania?
Absolutely, man. This is crunch time right now. You know, as of now, I'm not doing anything on WrestleMania, so you know it's a matter of trying to work your way onto the card. So every match now, every moment that you have on TV is working towards that. You know, and the shows are always stepping their game up. You know, this is again, like I said, crunch time. So here in Philly, like I said at the beginning, the fans are amazing. You know. So we're looking forward to kind of reciprocate that same energy.
Thanks for coming in, Kofi.
Right on. Thanks for having me.